Hi there, it's Courtney here. So today we're going to be talking about fleas and skin. I've had a ton of questions over the past couple of weeks about determining if your dog has fleas, what medications to use, and also what are the other factors that could be triggering your dog from itching a lot. So let's dive in. There's a lot to talk about today. So to start, we're going to talk about the 3 methods to determine if your dog has fleas. So first, the easiest way is to just look for adult fleas. So there's some crazy fun spots that you could look that they think are just Disneyland for them. So you want to look in the places that they like to hang out. So the top 4 spots that I usually look are right behind the ears or anywhere in those creases along the ears. Look in their groin, in their armpits, and then also at the base of their tail. Those 4 places are usually where they're hanging out. So if you look there and you don't find them, the next method would be to look for flea dirt. So flea dirt is actually just flea poop, honestly, and it looks like black pepper. So what you want to do is you want to look for that on their body, and what happens is that flea dirt turns a reddish brown when it comes in contact with water. So what I like to do is get a white paper towel and just rub them right there where you see some flea dirt or where it looks like they have black pepper on their skin. And if you rub it and that paper towel turns red, you know that it's fleas. And if you're having trouble with doing that, the next method is going to be to have a flea comb. So I'm sure you guys have seen this. They have very nice, fine bristles there. A regular human comb will not work. You do have to have one that is nice and close together so that the fleas can get stuck on there. So what you want to do is you use this flea comb, you brush them from head all the way down, and you're just going to be looking for flea eggs or live fleas. So what you want to do is have a little bowl ready with some soapy water in it, and every time you brush them, look to see if there's anything that's collecting in the comb, and then just put it in the water so that you're actually killing them. And if they turn again that reddish brown in the water, ding ding ding, you have fleas, or your dog does, you don't. So those are the 3 methods to determine if your dog has fleas, and if they do, I want to talk about what you have to do moving forward. And if they don't, stick around for the next one, and we're going to talk about what other factors can be giving your dog tons of itchies and scratchies. Okay, all right, so if your dog has fleas, let's talk about picking the right medication for your dog. So as many people know, flea medications, like any medication, can alter other medications that your dogs are on. So I want you to consider, is my dog on any medication? Is he sensitive, he or she? What would be the best fit for them? So what I like to say is, if your dog has a sensitive stomach, opt for the topical option. And if your dog has sensitive skin, opt for the oral option. So we're gonna go over what my recommended brands are in a bit, which are usually oral ones, but I like to say, like I just said, match it with the one that's gonna work for your dog. You don't wanna give a dog with sensitive stomach the oral medication because they're just gonna throw it up and you're gonna have to start all over. So match your dog with the right flea meds, just like any other medication. And let's go over for a quick second the different type of flea medications. So some flea meds target adult fleas, which are the ones that we are usually, like the front line, the next guard, all of those target adult fleas. Some target larvae, some stop fleas from even being able to lay eggs in the first place. So depending where you are with your dog is what you're gonna use. So if your dog is infested with fleas, adult fleas, you wanna make sure you buy an adulticide flea medication that's gonna kill all of the adults within 30 minutes or shorter. And that way all of them are dead, it kills their eggs as well, and then the infestation is controlled. But you don't want to go in there and give them something that only kills the eggs, because then all of the adult ones, they're going to have a party and you're not going to be like, what the F? Why is my dog still going crazy? Why am I scratching now? So make sure that you're pairing them with the right one, not only if they have sensitive skin or sensitive stomach, but also make sure you're choosing one that kills the adults and their eggs and possibly ticks as well, or we're going to get into what it covers up next. But one thing that I've noticed a lot is fleas have shown a lot more resistance to flea meds. And you've probably heard this from at least someone that has a dog. You know, I give medications, but for some reason the fleas just aren't going away. I've spoke to a couple of company reps that have said this last year and a half, they've seen a lot of resistance to the fleas not being able to be controlled with the medication. So they're going through a process right now where they're redoing the formula and making it stronger. So I do want you to consider, if the fleas on your dog is showing some kind of resistance to the medication that you're giving, go ahead and talk to your veterinarian about what medication that you could use that is a little bit stronger for those fleas that do show some resistance. Another thing that I want you guys to keep in mind is it doesn't always have to be the fleas resistance. It could be your dog's reaction to the fleas. So even if your dogs are on medication throughout the year or throughout the summer, which is flea season, you want to make sure that they are not getting an allergic reaction to the bites. So you may be able to control the flea infestation by killing them, but what happens is dogs get an allergic reaction from the bite itself, and that is called flea dermatitis. And if you think this is something that your dog is dealing with, look into it. But flea dermatitis is pretty much your dog reacting, having an allergic reaction to the chemicals in the flea's saliva. So what's happening is you're preventing them from getting fleas, right? But one little flea, little fucker comes along, bites your dog, and your dog gets an allergic reaction to that bite. That flea is still gonna die. It's still not gonna be able to reproduce and, you know, cause this big infestation, but it still bit your dog to the point where it is able to get a reaction. So flea dermatitis is a thing, and if your dog is experiencing some allergic reactions, even while on flea meds, look into Benadryl. If you look into any of my other videos, you know I have the dosage for over-the-counter Benadryl. 1 milligram per pound. So if your dog is 25 pounds, give 25 milligrams. Always give it with food, and you can do it twice a day for a couple of days until that inflammation and itchiness really goes away. And like I always say, if your dog is sensitive or on any other medications, please check with your vet before you give any over-the-counter medications. But Benadryl is something that I always have on hand because it's a great saver for any kind of allergic reaction like that. All right, so the next thing that I want to go over really quick are my top recommendations. So as you know, you are going to need a prescription for most of the oral options, but what you can do if you have a dog that has a sensitive stomach and you don't want to opt for the oral options, you can go with something like Frontline. That's a topical one that you put on their back, and that's going to be a little bit better. But for my top recommendations, I like NexGard, Comfortis, and Revolution, and they all have different, things. So let's go over it really quick. NexGard kills fleas and ticks. So that's my number one. I love it. It's oral. You give it every 30 days. Good to go. Easy peasy. Comfortis is the other one. It only kills fleas, and that one was my go-to for a very long time, but I have a dog that's epileptic, and Comfortis does not match with dogs that are epileptic. So this goes back to my tip on make sure you're matching your dog with the right flea meds. If your dog has some kind of medical issue or is on other medications, make sure that that brand matches with your dog's medical needs. So my little Snoopy, he's epileptic, he can't take Comfortis, so he goes with Frontline. I just give him the topical option just to be safe. So again, Comfortis is not good for epilepsy, but if your dog isn't epileptic, you're good to go, and that's the oral, and it only targets fleas. And then if you want to do heartworm as well, depending on where your location is, you can get Revolution, which does fleas, ticks, and heartworm. So my last hack for you guys for flea medication is set a reminder, not just 1, 2. So I want you guys to set a reminder for 2 days before your dog's flea meds are due. So 2 days beforehand, you're gonna go ahead and set the reminder saying flea meds due in 2 days. That way you know for sure that you have the flea meds on hand, and that come the day that it's due, you're already mentally prepared, you're physically prepared, everything's good to go, you're gonna give it. And if you need to and you know you're gonna forget in 2 days it's gonna be crazy, just give the damn thing early. It's not that big of a deal. You're gonna set the other alarm for that day that it's actually due, and you're just gonna say, give flea meds. Give flea meds with breakfast or dinner. It's always good to give it with the meal unless it's the topical option. But that second reminder really is there in case you forgot, in case you snoozed that reminder and you didn't remember to give it again, or you never bought it, or whatever it is, I always like that second backups. Those are all of my tips for fleas, how to determine if you have them, what to do if you do. And if you're in the category where you did all of the methods for checking to see if your dog has fleas and they don't have fleas, or they're fully medicated and they're not having an issue with any fleas and they're still excessively itching and scratching, my next video is for you. So if you have any questions or concerns about that, stay tuned for that. And as always, if you have questions on this, I love to see your comments below. So let's chat. All right, guys, take care.